And so as we move through the healing journey of life, the body-mind never got to meet itself. You look at little children running around, and their body-mind isn't getting to know itself. It's getting to know other people, and it's getting to know the world around it, but it's not ever fully meeting its own self. It does on occasion. But those moments are then disrupted or affected by the way the body-mind is meeting everything else. And so the body-mind never got to meet itself. These trillions of parts of the self, they never got to meet its own self. Hundreds of trillions of energetic pathways developed without ever knowing its own self. Hundreds of trillions of energetic pathways have developed without ever meeting its own existence. Hundreds of trillions of self-aspects have developed into who they think they are without ever getting to know who they actually are. The navigation and regulation of the body-mind have developed without ever getting to know its own self. And so who would the body-mind have grown up to be if it had met itself before ever meeting anyone or anything else? Who would the self have grown up to be if it had oriented itself independently of anyone or anything else? How would the brain and body have developed if the attachment needs at the foundation of all internal wiring had only ever been met with experiences of unconditional love? Not conditional and not dependent and not if or, and not fluctuating and not a little bit here, a little more here and none here, not conditional, not limited, not restricted, not reduced, but only ever known only unconditional love. Who would the body-mind have grown up to be? How would the self have learned to associate with itself, and who would the self know in that self-association? Social self-engagement practices and nourishing internal attachments creates greater transformation, restoration, reclamation, and liberation than we could ever dream possible in the face of impossible obstacles and challenges. And even when we think we've healed everything and we're whole and we're home and we're satisfied with the healing journey, no need to be on a journey of healing in any kind anymore, because I'm good, I'm set, I'm satisfied, I've grown out of the healing journey, I'm really just perfect as I am, and I never need to invest in myself ever again. Even then, even when you think you've reached the peak of all you know and all you can be and the maximum possibility of how well your brain and your body can provide translations of reality, there is still room for expansion. And social self-engagement practices and nourishing internal attachments, and for those who are bold and daring enough, Mirrorthon practices, have power to shapeshift any corner of our life so that it can expand into the fullness of all that it is meant to be. And even when we think we know all that we are, we maybe then come face to face with an aspect of our inner child who never got to know the adult they grew up to be and the adult who is here now to care for them. Or we have a moment of connecting with a part of ourself from a horrific experience 20 years ago who never got to feel the completion of those feelings and those sensations and patterns of the body. And we start to meet these parts of ourselves who have had dreams, but they were scared to keep dreaming. And we get to meet these parts of ourselves who want to experience the fullness of the joys of life, but have felt energetically restricted. And we start to meet these parts of ourselves, and we start to come face to face with more of the wholeness that we have always been, but we didn't know all along. And when we come face to face with parts of ourselves we've never met and we didn't know that we had never met them, the universe itself stops. The earth tilts on its axis, shaking and tremoring in loving liberation. Trillions of shooting stars across the cosmos dance in glorious ecstasy in the dynamic celebration of the liberation of the soul. When we come face to face with parts of ourselves that we have never actually been able to see before, the sun starts to glow a little brighter, and the moon begins to twirl in its rotation a little more ecstatically. When we come face to face with these parts of ourselves that have never gotten to meet themselves or know what it feels like to actually receive unconditional love, the rhythms of nature actually sync up with each other a little more smoothly, and the whole universe begins to open to a more harmonious flow of its own divine existence. And when we welcome these parts of ourselves home, feeling water on our skin feels more ecstatic as you dance in the rain and take hot showers and cold showers. And smelling flowers makes everything pause and eternity feel like more infinity than it could ever be, as you feel the fullness of what that flower actually smells like, as more of you is there to smell it. And there are no distortions or reductions in the totality of the translations of reality. And when you hear birds sing, it is like the cosmos streaming through all of the atmospheres to personally serenade your own sacred soul. And when you taste food, it's like you've never tasted food before, and every taste bud on your tongue begins to sizzle with satisfaction because more of you is there to have the experience, and there is more fluidity for the navigation and regulation to effectively translate the miracles of existence.